Hi, I'm Rob, and today I want to show you the ICECO GO20 portable refrigerator that they sent me to review. I've obviously already unboxed the fridge and I've got it set up here in the back of my Subaru. Now, along with the fridge, we get a couple of different ways to power it. The first is a 12-volt power cord. One end plugs into the fridge and the other one can plug directly into the accessory port in your car. Now, we also get an AC power pack that you can plug into regular 110 volt in your house, and then you would plug the 12-volt cord into this socket on the other end of the power cord. So as I said, you can power it from regular house power, or if you happen to have a portable power pack that has an inverter, you can use that if you don't want to power it directly from 12 volts. The only other things in the box were an owner's manual and an energy guide. If you want to see the exact dimensions of this fridge, you can check the product link below. However, approximate dimensions are 22.5 inches long by 12.5 inches deep and 12 inches high. And it weighs in at about 24 pounds empty. Now, looking inside the fridge, this can be configured as a dual zone or single zone if you remove the divider. The small compartment is about 5 inches wide, it's about 9.5 inches long, and about 9.25 inches deep. The large compartment is about 8 inches wide, of course 9.5 inches long, and again 9.25 inches deep. Now, if you remove the divider, the overall width is about 13.75 inches. Now, the inside of the fridge is nice and smooth with the exception of the ribs where the divider goes and this seam down at the bottom. So this should be easy to clean up if you make any messes in here. Now, it may be hard to see in the full sunlight, but there's also a light here so that when you open the top of the fridge at night, you can see what's in here. And then, of course, the divider itself is also nice and smooth and has just a little bit of a grip on here, so it's easy to kind of pull in and out as you need to. If we take a look at the right side of the cooler, you can see there's a bunch of venting here for the onboard compressor, and this is also where the power cord plugs in. Speaking of compressors, ICECO states that they use a SevenFortyOne brand compressor in this refrigerator. Now, there's also handles on both sides of the fridge so that you can easily lift it as you need to. All the controls for the fridge are located in this black strip. This button here is, of course, the on and off switch. The button that's shaped like a snowflake enables rapid cool down mode. The button that's shaped like a lock is, of course, a lock, and when this is enabled, it locks the control panel so that you don't accidentally make changes that you don't want to. If I turn the fridge on by pressing and holding the on-off switch, you can see that up here 2 indicators light up. Now, right now, these are measuring the ambient temperature inside the fridge. So I'm going to use the arrow keys, and I'm going to set the right zone, or the bigger zone, to 40, and I'm going to set the smaller zone on the left to 20. After you've entered the setting, it goes back to measuring the ambient temperature inside each of the compartments. Now, you can see after a few seconds of inactivity, the lock automatically enables, so that you don't accidentally make changes here to the control panel. If you do want to unlock the control panel, all you have to do is press and hold the lock button for a few seconds, and then you can control everything that you need to. Now, one other thing that I like about this refrigerator is the fact that it's very quiet. I've got my microphone here, and I'm going to hold it just above the refrigerator, and I'm going to stop talking so that you can hear how quiet it really is. Now I'm going to move the microphone over here so it's about 8 inches or so away from the side where the compressor is, and let you hear that. Now, up until now, we've been using the fridge in dual zone mode, but it can be run in single zone if you want to do that. And all you have to do is pull out the center divider. You'll see that this bottom indicator goes dark, and then the fridge is completely controlled by the top control panel. It's a nice, warm, sunny day out here today, so I thought it might be a good time to test the fridge out and see how long it takes to cool down from ambient. Before I start the fridge up and let it cool down, I'm going to use this thermal camera to figure out what the temperature inside these compartments is now. Hopefully this is visible in the camera, but with the fridge first turned on, The left compartment is measuring 65 degrees and the right compartment is measuring 66. If we take a quick look at the initial temperature measurements for the compartments, it looks like the left side is measuring somewhere around 66, maybe 67 degrees. And the right side compartment is measuring about 65 degrees. So I'm going to set the right compartment over to 40 degrees, and I'm going to set the left compartment to 20. According to my phone, the time is 1:48 p.m. and the outside temperature is 78 degrees. Now, I'm not going to monitor this thing continuously, but I'm just going to kind of roughly babysit it and see how long it takes for this to get down to temperature and the compressor to turn off. I ended up getting a phone call, so I wasn't out here when the compressor shut off, but you can see it's now 2:11 and the temperature is down to 20 degrees on the left side and 40 degrees on the right. So I've got my thermal camera. We're going to pop open the lid and try and take quick measurements on both sides to see if they correlate to what we see here. And on the right side, the camera is showing about 45 degrees, and on the left side, we're showing about 32 degrees. So it's been about 50 minutes or so since we started the test. Now let's check the temperature in here and see if it's gone down any. If I check the right side component, it looks like we're getting about 36 degrees. And if I check the left side, it looks like we're getting around 24 or 25 degrees. For my next test, I've decided to load the cooler up with bottled water, and we'll see how it does cooling it down. I've got 6 over here in the cold side that's set to 20 degrees, and I've got 12 over here in the warm side set to 40. And it looks like the bottles of water are hovering around 57 to maybe 60 degrees, give or take. It took the fridge between 4 and 5 hours to get the waters down to the set temperatures of 40 degrees on the right side and 20 degrees on the left. And then I decided to leave it overnight and see how well it maintained the temperatures. It did a good job. The waters are still down at 40 and 20 degrees approximately. Now, a few things to keep in mind. The first is that I ran the fridge on normal cooling mode. I didn't run the rapid cooling mode, which I assume would use more power. The other thing that I forgot to mention earlier is that when the fridge is running and the compressor is fully on, it consumes anywhere between 45 and 50 watts of power, at least according to my power station. At this point, the fridge has been running for about 16 hours. A couple hours with our first test where it was empty, and then the rest of the time it's had the water in it. My power station is a 600 watt unit, and after that 16 hours of operation, I still have about 72% or so battery life left. Now, one thing to keep in mind is that the water bottles on the left side are measuring 20 degrees right now, but the water isn't completely frozen. In fact, there's no ice in here at all. So if you need ice, it's probably best to create that in a standard freezer and then put it in here and have this refrigerator sort of maintain the temperature rather than trying to freeze it in here. So I want to partially retract my previous statement. When I emptied out the freezer, I did find one bottle that is completely frozen through. And this is the one that was on the left side stack near the wall and sort of in the middle of the stack. So I assume if I let this go long enough, all 6 of them would have eventually frozen. Now, sometimes things have a way of not going to plan. I originally intended to be on a camp out this weekend, actually right now while I'm talking to you. And my plan was to bring the fridge along on the camp out and see how it worked and then share my thoughts with you, good and bad. However, I ended up getting bronchitis last week. Maybe you can still hear a little bit in my voice. So I didn't end up going on the camp out. So I'm gonna do my best to kind of set this up the way I would have if I were gonna go on the camp out and just kind of share my thoughts that way. Now, as far as usability goes, based on our test with the waters, I think the best thing to do with something like this before going on a camp out is pack it the night before and get it all cooled down to temperature. And then my plan was to run it from the power port on the car while I was driving to the campsite. And then when I got to the campsite, I would switch over to my portable power pack and run it from that while actually camping, and then maybe plug it back into the car on the way home if there was anything left in here that I wanted to keep cold. Now, I did do a test before I got too sick. I loaded the cooler up with the waters like you saw in the previous clips with the bigger side being set to 40 and the lower side being set to 20, and I let it run on the power pack until the power pack was completely depleted. And it ran for a little bit over 24 hours, maybe 26 hours or so. So I'm pretty confident that this would work for me on a regular weekend camp out like I usually do with my son's Boy Scout troop, as long as I get it all packed and cooled down ahead of time, like I mentioned earlier. Now, in terms of size, you've obviously already seen this thing kind of in the car, but I figured I would pack it sort of like this on the right side so it's close to the power port so I can run it while I'm driving. But I also have to leave room up here for my portable power pack. So it takes up most of the right side of the back of my car. There's a little bit of space up there, maybe about 8 inches, where I could put some stuff if I need to. Now, for comparison's sake, I usually bring these two coolers along on my campouts. The bigger one, I would keep stuff that I don't need to have quite as cold in, and the blue one, I would have my stuff that I might need to keep cooler. So this would be packed with a little more ice than this one usually. And you can see if I arrange them in the car next to the fridge, they take up actually a little bit more room than the fridge and the battery pack because they're just a little bit taller. And of course, these coolers, in order to keep them at temperature, need to be about half full with ice. So in terms of the amount of food that I can put in them, it ends up being about the same as what I can fit in the fridge. Now, speaking of food, here's a look at what I've got in the fridge right now. And it's actually quite full. Now, you may also notice that I don't have the divider in here. So I'm currently running this in a single zone, even though I've got some things that don't need to be quite as cold as others. For example, this package of sausage probably ought to stay frozen, whereas the butter and the English muffins don't really need to be all that cold. However, with the divider in, I really can't fit things like my bottle of orange juice or my dozen eggs. They just don't fit that way. So that is sort of one negative of the fridge versus the two cooler setup. But again, the two cooler setup takes up more room in the car than the fridge does. So I think usually for our weekend campouts with the Boy Scouts, this is probably an okay compromise, especially considering I don't need to deal with any ice. Next, I wanted to give you a little bit of an idea of what the fridge looks like packed in the car with sort of a typical amount of gear that my son and I might bring on a regular campout. And you can see I've sort of done just that. Now, on a super cold weather campout, I might have a few more things packed in here, but this is pretty typical. And you can see that the fridge fits in here just fine. In fact, I can even still open and get at it if I want to. Now, I'm not a big app guy, especially when I'm out and camping, but ICECO does have an app that you can download and install to monitor your fridge when you're not right in front of it. Now, my fridge does have some QR codes, and when I scan those, they take me to a version of the software that's older than what's compatible with my Pixel 7. So you may just want to go into the Play Store or the Apple Store and look for the ICECO app and download it that way. This QR code may be out of date. Once you have the app installed and paired to your fridge, you can pull it up and see what the fridge is currently measuring for temperature. You can see what it's set to and change that if you want to, or turn on and off things like eco mode or rapid cooling. Let's go through a few pros and cons now of the fridge. I'm going to start with the cons, since I always like to end on a positive note. The first con is that the actual food area is maybe just a touch smaller than what I'm used to with my two cooler setup. Even though those coolers have to be packed half full with ice, just their dimensions seem to work well for normally what I need to bring on a camp out. This one works, but I have to do a little bit of compromising. The second con is the fact that the fridge needs to have power all the time. Now, in my case, I think that's going to work out okay because I'll either power it from the car while I'm driving, or I'll use my 600-watt power pack that I will pre-charge at home. I currently don't have any way to charge it with a solar panel, but even if I did, I'd have to pack that along with all my other gear, and I'm not sure how much extra room that would take up. That's something that you'll have to kind of assess in your own situation and see if it's worth it for you. In my case, because our campouts are usually 1, maybe 2 nights at the most, I should be able to get by with power from the car or the power pack. Now the last con, and this is a bit of a nitpick, is that the fridge is just slightly more delicate than the coolers. The coolers, I'm not too worried about swinging them around, banging them into something. They're not going to break, not easily anyway, and if I scuff them up, that's kind of what they're made for. Now you've probably noticed throughout the video that the finish on this fridge is very nice. It's shiny, it's even a little bit sparkly, and over time this thing is going to just get scratched up and not look nearly as good as it does now. In fact, I've already put a few scratches in it just by kind of laying stuff on top or that kind of a thing. It's just very easily scratched, not damaged, but scratched. But it can also be damaged because of the compressor and the electronics. I really can't throw this thing around. Not that I would, but I can't kind of abuse it the same way that I would a cooler. That's really a nitpick and not something that would make or break my decision to buy a fridge. Now for the pros. As we already saw, the fridge takes up a little bit less space, even with the 600-watt power pack, than my two coolers. Now, if I ended up throwing in a solar panel like I was talking about, maybe that changes the equation a little bit, but even still, I think it's a more convenient form factor than what I'm used to with those two coolers in terms of packing the car and maintaining a tidy campsite. Now, even though I mentioned during the cons section that the form factor of the fridge doesn't allow me to pack the food quite the way that I would in my two cooler setup, it does actually allow me to pack more food, technically, than I can in the two coolers, even though the form factor is a little bit different. And that's because I don't need to fill this thing with ice. The whole inside volume of this fridge is usable, whereas with the coolers, I've got to plan on losing half the volume in each one just for ice. And of course, speaking of ice, that's the big pro. We don't need to worry about it like we do with the coolers. In my case, I've always got to kind of go the night before the camp out somewhere and buy a couple of bags of ice because my freezer just doesn't make enough in the house. And then I've got to find a way to store it somewhere. I never have enough room in my freezer to kind of keep it because we've got our normal daily food in there. And then during the camp out, I don't have to worry about that ice melting and getting all my food wet. And of course, I don't have to worry about replenishing the ice, especially on those warm summer campouts where it just seems to melt after a couple of hours, no matter what you do. And as I mentioned before, if I had a solar panel for the 600-watt power pack and enough sun, I could power this setup indefinitely. And that, of course, is the big advantage to a fridge like this. As long as it stays powered, it's going to stay cold and keep your food cold so that it doesn't spoil. And you don't have to worry about running around finding ice or other ways to keep everything cold like you would with a cooler. Another thing to keep in mind is that a fridge like this doesn't necessarily have to exclusively be used for camping. You can use it as a backup fridge in case you lose power and you need to run something efficiently off of a 12-volt power pack or maybe even your car to keep your food from spoiling. Another thing a fridge like this comes in handy for is those backyard barbecues. You can set this up next to your grill and keep your meat or anything that you might be grilling up cold in here, or maybe even set it off to the side and keep it full of beverages for your guests. And even if you're not the one hosting the barbecue or party, you can fill this up with whatever you need to keep cold and bring it along to a party that you're traveling to. So I wanted to get this video finished up for ICECO, but hopefully I'll be able to take this on a camp out in a month or two and make a follow-up video and let you know how it went in a real-world situation. I have a feeling that it's going to work out just fine. Now, if you're interested in learning more, I of course will have an affiliate link in the video description. Thanks for watching.